Dear viewers, you are most welcome to the Experts Corner once again. My name is Veronica Rose, and today I have a cybersecurity expert with us today. She is from Nigeria, and she made it to the top list of the 50 women in cybersecurity in Africa. She is going to tell us more about this. Elizabeth?
Hi, Veronica. Thank you for having me here. I'm very excited to be here. As you mentioned, my name is Elizabeth Kolade. I'm from Nigeria. I currently work as a security analyst. My work spans across incident handling and response. I'm also very interested in areas on cyber diplomacy. Aside my work life, I work with a few organizations to bring quality education in the area of tech to young girls and women, where I also provide mentorship. I'm also very big on security awareness. I engage in teaching children and young adults on responsible digital citizenships and internet security and safety. And yes, as you mentioned, I recently made it to the top 50 women in cybersecurity in Africa. Yeah.
Oh, I would like to congratulate you again. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to you too.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So our topic of discussion today is still on cybersecurity, and the current situation has changed how businesses operate today. So I'm eager to hear
Yeah.
from you. Also, our viewers may be eager to hear from you about the top security concerns that organizations are facing today.
Okay. As you said, organizations are faced with different concerns. This is influenced by the kind of organization it is, the strategies and solutions employed by these organizations, and a bunch of other factors. Looking at our reality today, we have a lot of people working from home. That has also affected the concerns that organizations are affected with. It has also increased the threat landscape of any organization. And for organizations to really understand what their security concerns are, they must understand what their threat landscape is. I'm going to highlight some of these concerns. Now, I would split them into two. First, looking at concerns for organizations in the area of threats, we have business email compromise, which has become very rampant. We have phishing attacks, we have malware, ransomware, insider threats, and something very important, theft of intellectual property and sensitive information. Now, looking at the reality of today, people have to work from home, people have to communicate by sending emails and all of that. So the bad guys and quotes have taken advantage of these and then send malicious emails and a host of other things to people. I'm going to talk about how we can help to mitigate some of these threats later on in this chat. Now, moving on to some other very important concerns that organizations are faced with. A very big one that we need to actually talk about and has been coming into conversations these days is the issue of budget and finance. Cybersecurity is very expensive. When you're talking about different areas of cybersecurity, no matter how small it is, you have to talk about money. Money comes in. So it's very expensive. Well, yeah, it is expensive. So yeah, a lot of organizations do not have budgetary allocation for areas of cybersecurity. We also need to talk about the capacity of the people. When we talk about the capacity of the people who work in an organization, now not the technical folks per se, what do they know about security? What have you taught them as an organization how to carry out business processes and all of that? Now, moving on to the technical people, how skilled are they in responding to incidents and things like that? So, talking about capacity of people, that's a concern. Another concern is the security culture of an organization. I think it's very important that every organization has a healthy security culture. It's something that we need to, it's an important element of business and every organization also. It's something that we need to focus on. We also have cases of insufficient tools and technological solutions. For the technical people now, the security people in an organization, when they are faced with an incident, they might know they might know what to do, but they do not exactly have the necessary technological solutions to combat them. And then we still have, this is 2020, but we still have organizations that do not take security serious. They do not take it as an important element. I think it's something that recent happenings during this COVID era has actually revealed a number of things. And I think any organization that is still not taking security very serious needs to actually look at, they need to analyze what their objectives are and all of that. But the truth is, we still have organizations that are not taking security as an important thing. So these are some things that I think we need to look at. And these concerns, like I earlier mentioned, they vary according to different organizations based on a number of different factors. Now, let me talk briefly on some solutions and way forwards, because I believe if we're talking about concerns, it's also important that we talk about what we can do to help us to mitigate and reduce some of these concerns. I would approach this by categorizing them into three major elements that make up an organization, and that is the people, process, and the technology. I earlier talked about people. When it comes to people in cybersecurity, the people in an organization can either be an organization's biggest liability, or they can become the organization's greatest assets. Now, it depends on how the organization chooses to handle this situation. An organization cannot work with people. So when the people in an organization are not armed with the right information, it can cost the organization more than what it actually take for the organization to train them on basic security awareness. Training people, I would say, is the cheapest way to protect your organization, because when your people are armed with the right information, they know this is what we should do, this is what we should not do. Not necessarily the technical people, the everyday people, the clerk, the secretary, the random guy who sits behind the desk and has access to a computer. Everybody should be aware of basic security tips and points that should help them to effectively carry out their everyday business processes and not compromise the security of the organization. Now, going to the technical people, your cybersecurity operatives, your IT professionals that work in the organization, it's very important that you equip them with necessary operational training. Organizations need to stop looking at quality training as a favor to the people, but now look at it as a great advantage to the organizations. Yes, we understand that some of these trainings can be quite expensive, but the truth is you're doing this for your organization. Yes, the people in question get to benefit because they have added knowledge and added advantage, but they work for you. So you should look at it as an advantage to your organization. So training of people is something that organizations really need to look to. It's not something that organizations to leave to the individuals to try and figure out themselves. It's something they need to look to. So basically, what is the attitude of your people when it comes to cybersecurity? I believe the organization has an important role to play in determining what the attitude of your people is as it relates to cybersecurity. Now, going to the process, I earlier mentioned having a security culture. What is the security culture in your organization? I was reading up something somewhere and I saw something that said every organization has a security culture. And the author said something like, oh, some people would disagree that they do not have a culture. And he said the reason why they would disagree is because they actually have a bad culture, because not having a culture is a bad culture. So
Absolutely.
I think it's very, very important that every organization takes security serious and then highlights how they approach issues as it relates to security. It's very important that you carry everybody in your organization. What is the procedure for carrying out everyday operations? How do we approach things like this? When we see a suspicious email, what do we do about it? How do we cross-check processes and ensure that we carry out our business procedures effectively? How does the organization respond to incidents? What is our strategy in outlining our processes? Is it a clearly defined one, or everything just goes along as it happens? Does the organization have policies and frameworks in place that helps to define processes? and ensure that we meet international standards while ensuring security? These are questions that we need to answer. And when we check our books and see where we are as an organization, where we're not doing very well, there's always room for improvement. Like we say, security is not 100%. We always have to work on something every day. So nobody gets it right all the time, but it's very important that we have that back of our mind. So yes, let's have clearly defined processes that will help to mitigate and minimize the volume of security incidents an organization has to deal with. Now, coming down to technology, a big question that we should ask ourselves is, are we implementing technological solutions that meet the peculiarity of our organization services? Or are we just taking random solutions off the shelf? Now, bringing it to Africa, we have a very peculiar situation here in Africa. If we want to buy some software solutions and all that, are we just taking random solutions, or we are actually considering the peculiarity of the everyday happenings in Africa? Are we asking, yes, we do not have the capacity to come up with these solutions on our own, but are we ensuring that it is tweaked to meet up with what we actually need in our organization? Or we buy a solution where we only need about 20% of the features of that solution, and we only need 80% of it, and we're buying a very expensive solution. So these are questions that we need to, as an organization, we need to answer. And I believe when we answer these questions, it helps us to actually narrow our threat landscape and worry more about concerns that are very peculiar to us and not just generalizing it. As it comes to technological solutions also, are we actually buying what we need, or we're just going for cheaper solutions? Are we going for cheaper options because what we actually need is way expensive? How about we look out for how we can collaborate with one another and come up with solutions that actually solves our problem and all of that? So yeah, basically as it relates to technology, I think as it relates to people, process, and technology, when we take this layered approach, our organization stands at a better position security-wise. Yeah.
Thank you, Elizabeth. You've detailed everything, and I'm sure our viewers have learned more from you. And you mentioned something about culture, and there's a saying
Yeah.
that goes, culture, it's a strategy for breakfast. So if you don't if you don't take your cybersecurity strategy seriously, you know what will happen next. Yeah. So thank you so much,
Yeah.
Elizabeth, for sharing with us today. And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on the upcoming sessions. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much, Veronica, for having me. Thank you.